Hey, welcome again to On the Mound with Pastor Brown. We certainly thank God for each and every one of you and your viewership. We are super excited as it relates to this particular webcast, as it relates to the show On the Mound with Pastor Brown, which in essence gives us an opportunity to show the various hats that I, as a pastor, wear many in multiple hats. I'm not the only pastor that wears multiple hats, but we are looking to depict and show and demonstrate that in this time of COVID, that it gives us an opportunity to show tangibly on camera the many different ministry or whatever we do in the community. Today, we have a special guest in studio. I am joined today by the Department of Industrial Relations Chief, Rood, who, by coincidence, happens to be from my hometown, Oroville, California. And I'm super excited about his not only being here, but the unique way in which we were able to come together. I was at a lunch meeting with my Executive Director for SAC Building Trades, Kevin Fiera, and he goes, once you come to this meeting with me, I want you to meet the new chief. His name is Rood, and we're going to have lunch and talk about yada, yada, yada. So I came down to the meeting and hadn't met Eric prior to, and so we're sitting there at the lunch table and we're talking, and something came up about fishing, and I was expressing my frustrations as it relates to being able to just find a body of water in Sacramento where I can just drop my pole in and not be harassed by the game warden. And I said, man, I never had this problem in my hometown in Oroville. He says, Oroville? I'm from Oroville. And so we kept talking, and come to find out, Oroville has two high schools. One is the only one that I know of, which happens to be Oroville High School, the oldest school up there, and our stepsister, Las Plumas, which happens to be a Thunderbird. And so Eric went to that other school, and so that's probably why I didn't know him. But as we continue to talk, we discovered that we learned we have multiple friends because Oroville in that community is relatively small. With that being said, I felt it and felt compelled, right, to bring Eric into the fold, as into the family. And the only way I could do that was to baptize him in my school colors. So Eric, we have a gift for you today with our high school colors, the purple, the gray. I know that Eric is an avid golfer, so we wanted to make certain that we could get him some gear that he would be destined to wear. And here is your Oroville High School colorized, personalized golf shirt.
Pastor Brown, thank you so much. You and my wife, who's also a graduate of Oroville High School as well, have many dress shirts that are various shades of purple for some reason.
Right,
so
imagine that.
Definitely add to my collection of golf shirts, and I will wear it proudly.
Well, we certainly appreciate that. And also, we do have from Journey Ministries, we have this, which is our dry fit customized, our logo, and a Major League emblem baseball cap that we designed as well with our insignia. So we want you to help brand us out in the marketplace.
Thank you so much. This is really nice.
We certainly appreciate you
taking
the time to come and fellowship and visit with us on today.
Thank you so much.
And with all the platitudes and all those things being out the way, I want to jump into this conversation today. And this conversation, for many of you, may be something unfamiliar in the sense that you didn't anticipate this level of conversation coming from a pastor. As a pastor, I discovered many years ago that when I acknowledged and accepted and embraced my call, according to Isaiah chapter 6, a situation happened where Isaiah had gone through this transformation and got to the point and place. He says, God, whatever you want me to do, I'll do. And with that being said, I have watched how God has manifested and worked in my life in so many different various areas, to the point that now I oversee the MC3, which is a multi-craft core curriculum, which is a pre-apprenticeship a curriculum that we facilitate for the Sacramento Sierra Building Trades that deals specifically with our apprentices in an area in which you, as the chief, oversee. Can you tell us a little bit about your role with DIR and kind of explain to our audience how that impacts them?
Well, I have the pleasure. In 2018, I was appointed by Governor Brown to head up the Division of Apprenticeship Standards, which is the largest registered apprenticeship program in the country by far.
Wow.
We have about 95,500 active registered apprentices. Our current governor, Governor Newsom, would like to see that number go tenfold over the next decade. And so we have a goal of 500,000 registered apprentices and really providing opportunities, right, for our fellow Californians to develop high-skilled training in all various types of industries. Now, historically, apprenticeship has been focused on building construction trades. And about 73,000 of that 95,000 are in your carpenters, and your electricians, and your iron workers, and your sheet metal workers, and what have you. But we are now looking at all industries.
Okay.
And so we're now looking at healthcare and information technology. The average age of a registered apprentice today is 32 years old.
Oh, man.
So, and a lot of them have gone through the military and have come back, and of course the military is the original apprenticeship program.
Right.
And 20% of our registered apprentices actually have a 4-year degree.
Oh, really?
So what I would like to see transform is really transforming our high schools and looking at getting an apprenticeship as a viable vehicle within our 1,000 high school districts in the state of California.
So, interesting that you mentioned high school, because obviously if your average age apprentice is 32 years old, we start looking in the construction industry specifically. When apprentices come in, they pay membership dues. And those membership dues are allocated and distributed to pay salaries and things of this nature. And therefore, when you look at a person that's 32 versus a person that's 18 or 19, the shelf life or the earning potential as it relates to those retirees and paying into this benefit packages are much longer. And so I coach high school baseball in the Thomas School District here at Endercom. And oftentimes I talk to my young students, because everyone's not going to be a Major League Baseball player as it relates to vocational aspirations and desire. And to a large extent, many of them don't want to go into the construction industry. And so I know that when we came through Orville or Las Plumas, we had auto shop, we had metal shop, we had wood shop and things of this nature. And these things predominantly are taken out of schools. And even to the point that we do have in local here in Sacramento at Luther's Burbank, we have an MC3. They have a career technology thing over there. Just built a new facility there. We just most recently trained 2 MC3 instructors for Hiram Johnson High School to run with their technology thing. And there's some construction cohort going on by several of our crafts over at Rosemont High. And so I suppose the question is, how is it that we can truly not only get entrenched into these high schools, right, but be able to pull and harvest a crop of individuals that are ready to go into the construction industry, right? That seems to be the challenge for us.
Well, and construction's not easy. It is a tough profession. It's not meant for everybody. However, it is one of our, the training that you get through a registered pre-apprenticeship, which you do with the multi-curriculum core craft, MC3, that prepares individuals of actually entering into a registered apprenticeship program, which can last anywhere in the trades, anywhere from 2 to 5 years. So when you complete a registered apprenticeship program, there's a lot of confusion on what apprenticeship is, first and foremost. The first thing is apprenticeship is jobs.
Right.
You don't have apprenticeship unless you have employers willing to provide the on-the-job training that's really required. And it matches up with the education where they're learning about the job. And then they're in theory, and then going out and actually practicing that on the job site. And so what you end up with is a skilled and trained craftsperson, and it's a model that's been around for decades. In California, it goes back to 1939 under the Shelley-Maloney Act. But prior to that, it goes back generations, right?
Right.
You go all the way back down to the time of Jesus. And
What you say? I was going there. Go ye therefore. Right? Make disciples.
And go and make disciples. And it is for us to be able to take a look at a model that's tried and true and to say, well, why can't this work in healthcare? Why can't this work in information technology or in advanced manufacturing or in logistics or whatever the industry?
Right.
And so the key for us is what we're looking at is we have a lot of kids and adults that are graduating from college, but they don't have the skill sets because of various reasons to enter into the job market and to be effective. The average wage of a graduate from a registered apprenticeship program right now is $75,000 a year.
Woo wee! I need to sign up.
I will take that over any college degree.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
the debt.
There is no college debt.
Right.
So not only as you're learning, going through an apprenticeship program, you're looking at young men and women being able to earn an income while going to school to support a family, which provides also access for a lot of our communities that college is too expensive and I have to put food on the table.
Right.
So apprenticeship makes a lot of sense. And there's a lot of, I was at a convening down in San Diego County with Mike Fatullo, who was the COO of Sony North America.
Wow.
And we were, so IBM was there, and IBM has a registered apprenticeship program with us now with the state of California. And IBM also is nationally registered with the U.S. Department of Labor and received a grant. And so they're supporting, they're part of the Consumer Technology Association, the CTA.
Gotcha.
Which is the big
I missed that meeting the other day.
Oh.
Well, no, Cindy missed that meeting.
Oh, gosh. No, September 2nd.
Okay.
So we're good.
I'm
So September 2nd, we're actually working with Dr. Keith Clement, who's on the governor's task force. He's a professor at Fresno State University, and we're building in a cybersecurity apprenticeship for all of our UCs and CSU campuses.
Wow.
So in the junior year, we're and working with the Silicon Valley and folks there, we're going to be hosting a convening on September 2nd.
September 2nd.
That's what we're talking about there. So September 2nd,
Thank you.
to really to align curriculum that is really needed in the job market today. Unfortunately, historically, a lot of the curriculum in our universities were not coming from industry, and hence the folks that are getting various degrees in computer science or what have you, with an emphasis in cybersecurity, did not have the skill set needed. So what happens is these individuals, as they get employed, a lot of them are doing freelancing because they don't have the on-the-job training or experience, and so this allows a voice within industry to help build this curriculum.
So let me ask you this, on the lines of apprenticeship or pre-apprenticeship, if it is all about readiness, it seems to be that you can have curriculum, but the curriculum cannot substitute for true experiential knowledge, meaning being out there on an active job site or being in a lab developing software or coding and things of this nature.
Right.
So there you would need an employer that is willing to make the investment in this potential candidate to not only give them the academia or the curriculum training that they need, but also is making a commitment to say, I understand that you are new to this industry. You do have the core competencies that as I develop your skill set, I believe that you can be successful. One of the things that I have discovered is that oftentimes there are employers, or in my instance, contractors, that they aren't willing to take the risk.
Yeah.
And it certainly is a risk, because when we start talking about insulating or having 100% absent or certainty that this candidate is going to stay the course. No one has a crystal ball. There's always diamonds in the rough. And so when we start talking about, apprenticeship up and down, all the unilateral apprenticeships and things of this nature that you oversee, I'm just wondering, are there any particular ethnic groups that seem to be marginalized or disenfranchised from this apprenticeship?
Yeah, no, apprenticeship in particular, where we've really seen marginalized demographics is actually gender.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, in the construction industry, 3.4% are women are in the construction industry.
Of the 94,000.
Of the 95,500 or so.
Right.
And you look at firefighting, it actually drops below 3%. It's like 2.9%.
Wow.
And so when you realize the bigger number of the 72,000 of the 95,500 or so is coming from those two areas where it's predominantly men,
right.
You see that we do have other programs in other industries, a lot in the barber cosmetology historically. We're also now looking at the L to RN and some occupations in the healthcare industry that.
So are CNAs underneath that category?
Well, we're still building out. So we work really closely with the Service Employees International Union, United Health Workers. Wes, actually, Rebecca Hansen is one of my chairs, sits on the Interagency Advisory Committee on Apprenticeship. And we work closely with Kaiser Permanente, Dignity Health. We have some programs also with Alameda Workforce Services for community-based workers.
Okay.
And so, again, a lot of this is in the infancy stages.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you look at the numbers of our current registration, we see that our lowest percentages are definitely in gender is women. And it's 6% over all industries. So you can see
wow.
that women make up more than 50% of our population, yet only 6% are in these registered apprenticeship programs. But then when you start looking at ethnicities and stuff, it's interesting. The highest percentages is in our Latinx communities. We have about 55% are in that, in mostly men.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next is Caucasians, about 38%. And then you get down to African Americans, like 7.7%. And then the Asian ethnicities is below 4-3%, so it gets really small.
What do you think are some of the, on the gender specific, right? If women make up 50% of the population,
yeah,
and yet they are, reporting such low numbers,
yeah,
what do you think are some of the causations of that?
Well, there's a lot there to unpack, right? So there's a lot of nuance.
Right.
And so I would start, first of all, you're looking at predominantly industries that were male dominated. Mm-hmm. Very difficult industries, both, just the toll on the body.
The physicality.
Right. Firefighting, the same thing. You have to pass a lot of physical tests. And then you get into culture, right? Historically, the culture in the construction industry has not been the most uplifting, right? To women and what have you. And then as a contractors in the construction industry, you have to be intentional of building a infrastructure, and that includes role models, mm-hmm. right, for women that have become foremen or superintendents or something where there's some safety in that.
Right.
I know over the last couple of years we've actually had a lot of legislation passed as far as discrimination and harassment specifically in construction and in my apprenticeship programs. And so we're looking at ways to better educate as well.
Right, right. Just in some of the outreach and, for my classes, each class that for our MC3, I've been on average able to garner 3 to 4 women per class. Mm-hmm. And they don't want any special exceptions.
Yep.
And it's kind of like the old James Brown. I don't want anybody to give me anything. Open up the door, right?
Right.
And I'll go get it myself.
That's right.
And so I'm just wondering, to your point of being more intentional.
Yeah.
I was talking to Meg Bessie last week and looking to do something up here in Sacramento as it relates to, really outreaching to women specifically. But when you start talking about infrastructure, I mean, there's many jobs and titles, estimators, traffic control, that are typically given to men that have been around some time that maybe have aged, and so they're not as physical as they once were, but now these roles they kind of matriculate in, but those are opportunities that we can look at bringing women into the industry.
That's right. And I would say that this is something that's, Meg's been around. She's a pioneer when it comes to trying to get more tradeswomen into the construction field. There was a goal in the late 70s to have 20% women in apprenticeship.
Wow.
In the Brown administration, we had the same goal, 20% by 2020.
Right, by 2020.
And so again, there's been a lot of the building construction trades, a lot of local unions have really tried to target. I know the carpenters have their boots program.
Mm-hmm.
There's when I came on board in 2017, we had about 625 or so women that were in the registered apprenticeship in construction. Over the last 3 years, we made some improvement, not percentage-wise, but we have over 2,500 now. So we're making little steps. But there's, I said the issue with gender has nuance. The other nuance is safety equipment. We don't even think about it, but our manufacturers don't make safety equipment
gender specific. And
genders. I know. I came from a background in law enforcement and with the labor commissioner's office. Even vests and whether they're are not meant in the type of equipment, right? Firearms, right, are going to be a little bit different, and it's the same in the construction industry. To really, again, being intentional that there's a lot of different barriers or obstacles that are out there, and the women that have been around and been in construction, like the Meg Vasey, she was an electrician. She went through an apprenticeship program, and then went to law school. Became an attorney. Next thing you know, she's now one of the advocates now to really try to say to women, you can do this.
Right.
As we move forward.
So Chief, you oversee all the state of California apprenticeships, and you are constantly on cutting edge. And I'm just wondering, is there some insight that you can give us as relates to new jobs, right? Where's the new industry, right?
Great question, and it's really interesting because with artificial intelligence and all this stuff that's really happening in our world, I mean, we're in a different world than when I started with the state in 1993. And there's a lot of articles that say by 2030, a lot of the jobs that are going to happen in 2030 have yet to be invented.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really on a fast track of really looking at ways that I think where really our apprenticeship comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
Our universities can't move on a dime. Our community colleges take 18 months just to get an academic senate to approve curriculum. And as you go up into the CSU, the California State University system, and your University of California system, that could be a 3 or 4 year turnaround just for curriculum. In that time, it's a different world.
It's a different world.
And so being able to look at registered apprenticeship and looking at ways we can deliver the what we call the related and technical instruction component, or related supplemental instruction component. I think apprenticeship is really a great answer to providing not only the academic portion of it, but then to be able to apply that in a real world job setting.
Artists, we are going to take a momentary break, and then we are going to drop back in and continue this most intriguing conversation with Chief Rood of DIR. Stay tuned.